Yep.
Listen, I've watched this show. I can't be more handicapped because I'm retarded for watching this show.
Oh, it's loyal, and then
Maybe.
and then this happens.
No, it's not. Why did you get a wig from the reject shop, you fucking idiot? Like that would have cost you $2, you fucking what? What is it for fuck's sake? Just get a fucking proper head on the and some ears, like proper ears, like a twitchy fucking ears, and some kind of like droopy eyebrows. Like it's not that hard. Like you've got the actor, just get it right. You fucking Jesus.
Rand's road of trials on his hero's journey was dealing with a drugged-up best friend and a mid-looking black chick trying to sleep with him and then stealing his stuff and trying to stab him when he refused.
Yeah.
That's not epic fantasy. That's like a Tuesday night out in Atlanta. Like, how is this like an epic fantasy story? This is ridiculous.
Rand lifts up Egwene again, carrying her across the room as they kiss. He lays her down on the sheepskin rug in front of the dwindling fire, puts his body on top of hers. He pulls back from their kiss, and their faces are just inches apart now, the fire casting soft light on them. You know, my dad said I used to pick you baskets of berries to bring you when I was a kid, like some lovesick puppy. Sounds sweet to me. Rand pulls a small raspberry from his pocket with a roguish smile. He runs it down her nose and drops it sensually between her lips.
No. In Edmund's Field, women like absolutely dominated the entire social strata of like relationships and domestic life. By making it like this weird hookup culture, they actually made the women less powerful than they were in the book.
Flicker, 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 flicker. I have won again, Luz Theron.
Oh, it's the end of an era. It's a bittersweet night.
Huzzah. Could be worse. Could be better. Could be worse.
Could be a lot better. I can't believe I ate the whole thing.
That's what you said. Whew.
How you guys doing today? Thanks for coming on, by the way. So we'll get to chat and stuff a little bit later, but I'd hope to do this with Eldan. Poor guy's not feeling well today, so I hope he's able to tune in, but he just didn't feel up for joining. But yeah, our thoughts are with you, buddy, and stay strong.
Absolutely. So we're with you, Aldan, and yeah, we've been talking. If you need anything, just reach out.
But at the same time, I understand if he's not feeling well, he wouldn't want to watch what we're about to go through. So yeah, there's that. But see a number of people in chat, but chat knows the deal here, right? I'm telling you guys constantly, don't watch this live, and you guys keep ignoring me. So let me put up the chastising banner for the first couple of minutes, so you guys know the deal. Although Alex and Lady B are here, so they'll be managing that. I've got a really dumb script. It's not very long, but I do have an excessively long presentation of slides. And
you got a PowerPoint. What's the number?
There's like 140, and I'm just realizing it now. I didn't even bother to up the gamma on any of these, so this is going to be darker than it usually is. But you know what? I don't care.
140?
Yeah,
that's a lot. Aren't these usually like 70?
Yeah, I know. Well, let's get into it. I'm trying to rip through these pretty damn quick, and I didn't even bother to number these or anything like that. So okay, we start off in the episode, and it's 10 years ago. Why do we need to see this? We already know what happened 10 years ago, but we need to see it because there's another Elida scene, and they're in the 13th suppository that now apparently everybody knows about.
Indeed.
Yeah, so it was super secret, but it wasn't secret to Elida or Alviar, and they're here, and Elida comes out with Chekhov's gun. This is the second time we've seen it, and I don't know if you guys know the rule about Chekhov's gun. If you show it, you have to do something with it, and they didn't. So this is, it's just a
Yeah,
testimony
it's
to
like
the
they
quality of their writers.
Yeah, they show it to her, and then remember that scene where she had the shakes, and it was
Yep.
like old Deuteronomy from Cats.
The other thing that we need to know is, so this is an item that she got, and it sounds like she also requested to be the Amerlin seat, and she got that gift. It just didn't come through right away. But it's not that we have two door frames, one to the Eilfin, the other to the Aelfin. One gives answers, the other gives wishes, or whatever.
Who knows?
They go to the same place. They're two doorways.
Yeah.
They go to the same place. To what's his name? The Cat in the Hat that we'll see a little bit later. Okay, so anyways, Alviarin is here, and she says some stuff, and nobody cares. Okay, so we're in the hall. The hall of the tower is now 20 stories tall, so I'm pretty sure it's the bulk of the tower is just, them looking down in the hall, which is not how it works. But
we've had lots of the tower where they scale up, and it's revealed to really only be like 5 or 6. So
no, this was at least 9 or 10 stories. I counted the levels.
I know on your slide, but in previous seasons it was not that high. Also,
they're pulling out the budget, right?
Yep. Also, I thought I'm pretty clear that we had a line from Swan that Moraine hadn't been back to the tower in 20 years. So I don't know how she had was back.
No, I think she's been around, but I mean, you know what? They have continuity in some things, discontinuity in others. But what was nice was actually to see that they are in ceremonial garb here. So they're wearing what could be called it's not a shawl, but it's like a ceremonial robe. And this is really the only time that they should be in Aja colors, except they're in that all the time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently Leandrin was a sitter. But anyways, the hall of the tower vote gets convened. And we get introduced to this nice young... And I was losing it.
I was like, we watched this, what was it, like at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm like, just dead. Like,
I just couldn't. I had to go and do a little bit of research. And Aldan, what the hell is up my butt?
Thank you.
I think this is the first time I've been able to see Super Chat, you legends. Glurp, glurp, motherfucker. This ep was trash. Aldan, bud, we're all pulling for you, bro. But remember, all the money that gets sent to us, we really appreciate it, but it's to buy books in libraries so kids like you can steal them one day.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And Aldan appreciates that joke because he confessed to being a little thief when he was a youngster. That's how he got into Wheel of Time. All right. So I think we have some names for this fellow. Keeper was the one that I came up with right away, but Alex, you guys, yeah, go Lady B.
Asha, ma'am, Ish, ma'am, D, ma'am.
Ismam Sadai, Galena Ismam.
It's ma'am Sadai sounds pretty. That could be an actual in-world name. Let's just go with that. It's ma'am.
It's ma'am Sadai.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I was thinking, is it Halima? Best case.
All right, but you guys remember the one time we see a scene of an election of an Amerlin in the books, what they all end up doing in the hall?
I am a woman.
They all are showing their tip. I don't know why they didn't go with that here. If they really wanted to be book accurate, they could have done that. But at the same time, I'm now kind of happy that they didn't.
Me too.
Have you seen this cast pass?
No. All right. If they were all Genie Cades, I'd be with it, but they're not, so I'm not. Okay, so they hold the vote. They don't know how to do it properly. Swan gets 4, and then Mr. Keeper or Al-Shamam or Ismam Sadai says, well, only 4. Who stands for Elida? And then Alviarin stands up and then says the wrong name. And then a whole bunch of other people decide to speak for Swan Sanche as well, including Shrek, who's back.
Shrek Sadai.
She lives.
Oh.
Shrek Sadai is back, but that's her. Claire Perkins is there. A nice little cameo. She only had 2 words, but it was to stand for Swan Sanche. Excellent.
That green look like what was the Kalina Caspian?
So the vote is declared to be a win for Swan Sanche, and they give her the +3 Cloak of the Woods. And since we already knew of all of these events, there was no real point to any of it. We don't learn anything new. Great. That was 5 minutes of my life that I'm never getting back. And actually, it's more like 10 or 20 because I've seen this too many times now. Great. So credits roll. Then we're back to Swan writing letters. Yay. Leanne comes in and says that Swan's plan is dumb. And I'm thinking, wasn't you working on this plan for 20 years? Because that's what she said in like the last episode. But nope, apparently it's just now writing letters. And that's apparently got these three really fucking pissed off because they're saying they're so mad that Swan is writing letters to people. And this is the last straw. So their plan goes into action. And it's a coup d'etat.
The legislative branch is really pissed that the executive branch is performing international business.
Well, I thought
how dare they do foreign policy?
Yeah, it was stupid because they're like, well, how do you know this? And it's like, well, there's prophecies, but they don't even talk about it in the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
There's supposed to be a prophecy of like, the tower needs to bend the knee to the forgotten sign, but they all just like to ignore that one. So who knows? Hey, Sedai, what's up? All right.
What?
So now Rand is picking the avocados. I could make a bunch of Mexican jokes, but I'm just not going to go there. Egwene notices that he missed one and it's on the ground. And Rand is sad because there's a girl that died, but now the wise ones are ready to see him. So that's that scene. See, we're going pretty quick. I got a lot of slides, but I mean, we're 10 minutes in.
Him saying he has toe to the die, girl. Like, shut the fuck up. I love Egwene giving him that like bitch please look. Get out.
Oh yeah,
now,
she's done with this cat.
Mm-hmm.
Now Samael is on his knees, shielded by the super neato tied-off weaves that was impossible until last season, if you remember. Moron is keeping him alive to train Rand because it's decided that his 28 seconds of Logain was not enough, but also it was enough because this whole Samael thing is pointless because he's going to die soon. She makes fun of his scar and then threatens to bury him for 1,000 years rather than the 3,000 years he was just buried for. And that no one will remember anything about him in a couple of years, even though there are like temples and a whole freaking religion dedicated to this guy, and he's lasted for 3,000 already. So hollow threat, Maureen, such a moron.
Yeah.
Okay,
Crazy
now we get to
for the win.
Yep. Jeannie's looking hot. Chesmo has cats, and Leandrin's hair is wild. Mogedion comes in and says, "Here's a bracelet some rando just sold me off the street." And that's about as dumb as how Matt got the bracelet in the first place.
Yep.
Leandrin is suspicious, but not very, and she doesn't notice the inky black fingers of the person making her food. So they're off to the Penarch's palace. Great. These two idiots are having ramen. That's somewhat book accurate because Domani food is all the rage when they're in Tanchico, and they do have some difficulty using chopsticks. But anyways, they spot the Black Aja and they decide to follow because they're being super stealthy.
I'm still stuck on like Matt, like them making a really big deal about Matt having a lot of like flair on his veil, so that means he's a prostitute, and he's
got a puffy shirt right out of Seinfeld. Puffy shirt.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so this is
you like Game of Thrones, Dane? I know that. Doesn't this remind you of someplace in the Game of Thrones universe?
Not really.
It doesn't remind you of the House of Black and White. Remember that in the show?
No, not really.
Okay, never mind.
This is Pirate Island from Black Sails. That's what this reminds me of. Anyways, we're at the Penarch's Palace. Leandrin and company show up. They insta-kill everybody. Let's remember that they do insta-kills when they want to, and then they can't for a bunch of other reasons. Anyways, they're all dead, and then Leandrin has to show what we're after again. So we get to see this for like the 20th time, that they're after a bib.
So
thanks, Black Cane.
From Black Cane. Hail one of the few non-shill Wheel of Time channels. That is indeed us. Your support is appreciated.
That's because we drink a lot.
Absolutely.
True.
Everybody else has given up on this show, but not us. Anyways, so yes, where am I? Oh yeah, the reason they keep showing this, I'm ultimately very convinced without seeing this picture a bunch of times or constantly referring to it. It's for the audience. The audience that's watching this is completely retarded. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're in the dream, and Lanfear asks if Rand has Samael, her little present. So the Samodian plotline is completely confirmed. Mm-hmm. But then Rand calls Lanfear a monster. She's petty and jealous and cruel, and then she has a hissy fit. So she starts channeling all this true power stuff at him. He's a little scared, but thankfully Egwene shows up and kablamo!
Ooh.
we blast Lanfear out of Teleran Riyadh. So
so glad Egwene was there to save his ass, right?
How many times has Egwene been in Teleran Riyadh? She got.
This is third time, right?
Well, there was the episode 2 or whatever where she like meets Bear for the first time, and then she has one lesson, and then she takes Moron in her third time, and then she has another lesson where she gets choked out on the sex wheel. So this is her 5th time in Teleran Riyadh, and now she's officially eating Lanfear. So that good for her. Thumb Marilyn says Matt's book arc, lovable prankster to get lucky. To Lucky General, show Matt's arc, degenerate thief to effeminate rent boy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
succinct to the point.
Just like following in Rand's footsteps. I mean.
Oh God. Okay. Anyways, the trap is set. It was all a trap. So they got out of bed and then they all get up and start channeling. So everyone holds on to the power. Lan draws his Forsaken killing sword. Melaine is here and she has a knife for some reasons. And then 10 seconds later, Moron says that Lanfear isn't coming and they better not underestimate her. So they're all leaving for Alkir Dal for some reason. And then they decide to leave. Or did I go too far? Yeah, we're all out the door except for this guy who they just leave in the cave all alone. We captured a Forsaken. He's tied up. He's going to train Rand, but they're just like, yeah, whatever. What's the worst that could happen? It's not. He's not going to escape. I'm sure he wouldn't. Let's just leave him alone in that cave. Great. But it turns out that Lanfear is cleverer than we thought because she has a plan, and it's this. I'm going to go talk to Melindra. Okay.
Setting their trap inside the tent was indeed targeted.
Anyways, these idiots arrive at the Panarch's palace. They're looking for the collar, but they know it's just a ring because they're familiar with how the Shan-Chan bib collars work. It's a ring when it's not on someone. When it goes on someone, that's when it gets the bib features. So way to work that. By the way, way to work that into their plot. So
did Egwene tell them that?
No, that's exactly what Nynaeve knows because Nynaeve was testing with Elaine what the IDOM was like, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right. I always forget that scene exists.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Back here, Nynaeve says whoever finds the collar, the ring, just needs to take it and run. Don't wait for anyone else. It's too important. So let's remember her taking her own advice later. Now Moghedien shows up in the waste for some reason and murders Samael because he was left alone in his cave. Yeah, I have no idea what kind of effect they're putting on Moghedien when she's growing here like the Hulk, but it's dumb.
Yeah,
and then also
trying to figure out how she finds him.
Is that an effect or is that a body
she's really bulking up here as she's doing it. It's pretty wild. Oh, that's too far. But the other thing is, like, Alex, you were kind of pissed off that Samael, who's a total badass, got defeated by Rand with his back turned to him. But I'm wondering here, like, this isn't better, right?
No, it's not.
They got him alive, so he survived that attack just to be shielded, emasculated, ripped apart by Moghedien. This is not better.
No.
It's 5 minutes of screen time that was just pointless.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're traveling across the waste and Ruark exposits more than he should. Rand spells out exactly what he's going to do. Avienda points out to Egwene that Rand is a piece of shit who slept with Lanfear, and then asks Egwene this: is he worthy of your strength?
Yes, Queen. Oh. Shut up.
And then Lan is worried that Moron is going to die today, and Moron has no plans for Lan, who is going to rage kill himself if she dies. So you can kind of appreciate he's concerned. They don't bring that up at all. So now we get the Shido, and part 2 of Lanfear's evil plan is happening. And she gives Couladin tattoos after making some joke about how slutty she is and hasn't been called a maiden in like 3,500 years.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
Okay, now we have a pointless scene of Elida putting on earrings, and this is getting so fucking boring. Varen then comes in and lets Swan know that 8 sisters are on their way to capture Rand, and the plot thickens. Wow.
Ooh.
So now we're back to the hills of Tanchico. They play incessant cat and mouse in the spooky house. There are dead bodies everywhere, including a cat, actually.
They killed the cat? What the hell?
No, the cat is eating the
yeah,
eating
the
a
cat
person,
was eating the person's face. Yeah, I saw that. I was
That's
like,
gross.
if they kill a cat, like that's just it. I will balefire this out of existence.
Elaine starts talking and thinks that she can delve for metal inside a house to find the collar. And Tom is like, really?
Well, what?
Even Tom thinks this is dumb. Then these two idiots, we get a really bad Mercedes-Benz symbol. It's like the wrong symbol behind them. It's like two of them together. I don't know.
Have we talked about the absurdity of them splitting up?
Yeah.
They're like, yes, there's 13 black sisters who can channel here, and we have one person who can channel.
There's only 3 now, because, there's only
Oh, that's
3.
right. That's right. They left the non-important ones and the dead ones.
Exactly. All right, so Leandrin is still walking around with her big fucking drawing. Perfect. Tom somehow reveals that Gabriel isn't a real person because they, kept talking about it. And then Hadi Sadai shows up and shoots purple balefire at him, but she can't control it. Matt just stumbles through the twisted door frame, just walks through it like nothing's going on, and then we get this.
It's funny how there's like 2 of them.
Yeah, but what the?
It's Pennywise meets live action Cats meets X-Men Beast played by Kelsey Grammer.
Okay, I'm moving on from this. I got nothing to say.
Can't.
I got nothing to say. So anyway, Min's like, oh no. And then Chesmo's like, who the hell is here? And then Min has to look at her own drawing. Is like,
you know what's going on? Like, what? Oh my god.
Is this what I saw in my visions? Wow. Fantastic. Anyways, Leandrin is a terrible searcher. She dumps what she's looking for on the floor, which is right there. And then Nynaeve picks it up and she's like, sweet, got it. I'm out of here. Tom's ear was balefired off, and then he tells Elaine that Gabriel has to be a Forsaken, literally, in like a conversation. Like,
wait, his ear was balefired off? I thought it was just
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it was like something fell and it cut, but like I was making a joke there, Alex. Come on.
Okay.
All right. But anyways,
that's the problem with this show. You could say like, and then Leandrin arranged Tom to get gangbanged, and I'd be like, I don't remember that happening, but
it tracks.
I was probably like looking at my phone during that scene.
We did have Stephen Fry as the keeper of the Chronicles. Anyways, so he tells Elaine to run, go back home, and save her mom's throne from one of the Forsaken, and then he steps out, warns Hadi, and hucks a knife at her. She blasts back, but can't seem to handle a big black rod, and she cooms all over the ceiling again for the second time. Then Elaine blasts Hadi Sadai from behind, takes the big black rod, blasts Hadi, and then stuff unhappens. It's not the best sense of disjointment in time that Balefire does, but you know what? Of all the things to complain about in this episode, this is like the least. Whatever. It shouldn't be purple either, but whatever. Okay. So now we're back to the Ilfin. I don't care how book accurate some of the dialogue is here, because this is just it's so jarring and weird. And did you guys even notice that's not actually what he looks like? I put the Pennywise clown over top.
I was actually not only did I notice it, I was going to compliment you on the outstanding Photoshop job.
Yeah, there was copy paste. I can do that. But then this fucking shit. Did you guys see that?
Yes, we did. You know what this is, right?
What?
This
is a furry.
This is the leftover Trolloc feet.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Was my brother's foretelling right, and we did get a furry in this season?
This is Rocky Horror Picture Show type stuff, but
yeah.
Anyways, so don't care how book accurate this stuff is, and it's not book accurate because one of the key things that Matt asks for is his memories to be taken away rather than get holes in his memory filled. So they basically depowered his character by doing this. So yeah. Matt gets hanged.
Can you imagine how dumb this character is going to be now that they made him even dumber?
Yeah. He might have to go back and ask for his memories back, which is also silly.
Yeah, right. I know what are his memories? It was like him just reliving his shitty childhood with his crappy alcoholic parents.
No, the memories he was suffering from was all of his battles were actually giving him post-traumatic stress disorder, and he couldn't sleep at night. It's absolutely wild. Anyways, Min smashes Chesmel from behind. Min then saves Matt, cuts him down, and gives him CPR, and they are so going to bang now. Oh yeah, that's his Foxhead medallion.
Oh no! Oh no!
Did you see that?
Why wouldn't you just make a Witcher medallion?
What did the fox say?
I don't know. All right, speed running. We're speed running. Okay, so now these two idiots meet. Nynaeve tries to redeem Lanfear, and instead of using an insta-kill weave like she did on everybody else in that house, she decides to wrap Nynaeve in chain and huck her into the sea, tied to an anchor. Anyways, we only needed half a second for the prediction that she was kind of gonna, get her blocked. But yeah, okay, there she gets yeeted into the sea, and then Leandrin decides to walk away. And I'm immediately reminiscing about this scene where it's like, put them on the unnecessarily slow dipping mechanism and not watch them die. Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be completely fine. Leandrin just, fucks off, and what's the worst that could happen? So again, one little shot, all we needed to predict. Oh, she's going to overcome her block, but I don't think anyone predicted she would turn into Moses.
So my serious question here is, if you've watched every episode of the show and didn't read the books, why would you think this is any different than, her group healing everybody in Loghain's cave?
There's no distinction, because there's nothing about her having to surrender. If anything, they do callbacks to her little daughter from her time in the accepted test. Yeah, and now you're thinking the reason she can't channel is because the accepted test was traumatic. I don't know. It was pointless. All right. Let's get back.
So, that's important because we established that Leandrin can use the one power to create shit out of nothing, because those chains weren't on that dog.
But they probably came from it. They looked like shitty CGI, but it looked, a chain with an anchor on a dock seems like something that would be there. She isn't just conjuring that out of nothing. So
we looked. She did.
She did.
Effects wise, but yes, I'm saying
yes.
So now Melindra is off to kill Lan, because Lanfear's plan is this to get at Rand. I don't know. Turns out Melindra swore to the Shadow to bring back Malkier, which fell to the Shadow. So
yes, this is the second time in 2 episodes that somebody's been like, yes, we made a deal, and then you didn't deliver on your end of the deal, but I'm going to hold up my end of the deal.
I don't get it, but I mean, this is not the dumbest part of this conversation, that Melindra went to the Shadow to fight for her country that was betrayed to the Shadow. It's in a little bit. Next slide. It's this. She decides to forswear her oath to the dark, and Lan immediately knows that's a death sentence for her for some reason. And then Melindra has to tell Lan that death is lighter than a feather, and duty is heavier than a mountain. So
also the golden crane.
Crane. Pointlessness describes this entire series. Thanks, Four Knots. I agree. Thank you for the super chat. Buy some books for some kids. Get them reading this instead of watching it. Yep. So anyways, her soul decides to basically evaporate. And then Lan cries. We saw it coming, but
again. Is that 4 times this season?
Yeah, at least I think he's cried more than he has dialogue. So whatever. All right, but that actually wasn't the dumbest line or dumbest scene in the show. This is the dumbest scene in the entire series. Okay, and wow, I have the whole script here. I don't need to go through this, but I abridged the conversation to kind of the key highlights.
I agree. This is stupid.
Let's just remember, I was predicting that Moron was a full-on dark friend because of what she was doing.
Oh, she is.
But I thought that would be the big reveal and what people hated. It turns out it's the opposite. Not only is she good, Rand thanks her for it. Anyway, let's get to it. So Rand comes into the tent and says, "It was you, wasn't it? The mirrors, the card, or the axe, the cards, everything. You set up that whole attack." And then Moron's like, "Yes, it was. I hoped it would drive you apart." From, I'll hear it specifically, Egwene or Lanfear or friends. And it's not because you want to use me, it's because you want me to succeed. So Rand is drawing the wrong conclusion. And then Moron says, actually, no, I've been kind of a cunt to you the entire time, holding this knife at your throat. And then Rand says, thank you. And that's basically the conversation.
I basically tried to
it.
kill you on numerous occasions. I was working with the Forsaken to like get you to leave your friends and oh yes, thank you, honey. Is this like that Wojak like that has the like scribbled out face? Yes, honey, like one.
I don't know.
It is.
Rand should have bail-fired her. But anyways.
Absolutely.
Back to the plot. Varen finds Galena, but it's a double cross. So Varen's like, we came to stop you. And then Galena's like, actually, we're here to stop you. We got supporters of you out of the tower. And we can pause a little bit. Ma'alanir says, Dane, you were using your brain way too much for that prediction. Yes, I was. People were actually pointing out to me when I was making the prediction that this would mean that the writers were actually good. And I didn't listen. They were right. I was completely wrong. I gave them too much credit. Steve, ironically, had a bunch of good predictions that we thought were too stupid and couldn't possibly be done, but they were more accurate. Like Elaine getting the balefire rod and using it to attack What's-Her-Face and blast her. Steve is basically the prediction king for this. I should have known better. He predicted bedpost, dagger tied together be the Ashandare. The guy's an absolute legend.
The only thing that Steve ever gets wrong on these predictions is he keeps predicting werewolf versus giant spider. I'm convinced he does it to throw us off, that he actually knows the scripts.
Yeah. Well, like some wise man once said, whatever you think it will be, the show will be like infinitely worse than we could have imagined, or something like that.
Well, it gets kind of good here. So anyways, Swan and Leanne are big mad. They go to the hall, but it's too late. And Elida gloats and says to them, I'm the new Amerlin, and Swan, you're arrested for being shitty and a dark friend. And then they attack her with the one power, because apparently they're allowed to do that. And then they steal her ass right there. Okay, great. Oh, poor Swan, she's dumb. And then we get Leandrin back at her house, and her hairdo is changed somehow really quick. And she decides to team up with Moghedien, or as I like to call this now, Dumb and Dumber. So you've got Jim Carrey and what's his nuts, Jeff Daniels right there. Perfect. Yep. So let's cut to something gross, and Lanfear and Robin are finding Samael's corpse, and it's yucky. Also, Lanfear has changed outfits again.
Oh, so she's wearing black because she's bad now.
Yeah, but with the headdress and others. But basically, her plan to get after Rand was to dress up like an Aiel maiden, dress up like this, and I don't know what her plan is. It's dumb. All right, so Rand goes to Ulcair Dal. Savannah is there, looking wild. They confront Couladin. There's dialogue, and it's Uncanny Valley because it's somewhat book accurate, but it's just a little bit off. And then Moron stayed behind about a mile into the desert for some reason and starts channeling into her Age of Legends vibrator to draw out Lanfear. So great. So Swan, who was dragged out of the hall, was apparently beaten and then dragged back so that they could get a blood stain streaking across the ground. Okay. Yeah, it looks like she got the shit kicked out of her. Great. That's what we love to see.
So it's vitally important when you're interrogating somebody that you make sure that they no longer have the oath that says they can't lie.
Yeah. Very important.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Moron's channeling, but she misses Lanfear because Lanfear used the cunning trick of coming up behind her in the wide open desert and then yeeting her. So that's what this is. Woo! She's flying through the air and screaming. And then she gets behind her and starts choking the bitch out. So perfect, great. Rand reveals the Aiel history, and they split naturally right down the middle, literally. I don't know how.
For reasons.
Lan doesn't hop out of the sand. He's just there all of a sudden helping out in the fight. He has the super secret, awesome Forsaken cutting blade, gets a cut on her leg, and it can't heal for some reason. Right there. Slash. And then she tries to heal it, and it doesn't work.
Oh my god, there's so much blood in that. Like, what the hell?
So Rand is having his boss moment here, shouting at all the Aiel, and let's just remember that he was crying about a little girl at the start of this episode, and now he's like, I'm going to crush all of you, destroy you all. Aren't I the biggest badass?
Yeah, but he's just running his mouth. He doesn't like really do anything.
He's a big softy. All right. And then he starts channeling into the air for some reason. So now we get the climax of the whole Moron fight. Moron gets stabbed with Land's super awesome sword, but also Swan is killed and Moron feels the oath to Swan disappear, which is why she starts crying in the middle of this. Not, you know, that Lanfear's literally twisting the blade in her stomach and that's probably going to kill her. No, it's Alviarin uses the one power as a weapon to decapitate Swan. We see a little wisp there. That's the oath kind of, I presume, getting lifted off Moron. It's not that they had some kind of warder bond or anything like that. It's just, this is her knowing, oh no, Swan is dead. And so there we get the nice shot of Swan with her head separated from her body. I really want to
see your head, like, just...
Yeah, no. That was nice. Summit, you're right, dude. That sword does have +9 against Forsaken, but like -9 against Land or Moron, because she's totally fine.
She's fine. Don't worry. We've seen like at least like 3 different people get that same exact injury, if not worse, and survive.
She gets all her power somehow. She puts the hand on the sword. So we get a nice.
Did do that?
Yeah, Moron's literally pulling the sword out of herself, taking it from Lanfear, not even cutting her hand, probably powering up the sword with the power, and then she's able to use it to slash Lanfear across the neck in a non-healing wound. And then Lanfear has to run away through her portal to I don't know where.
Oh, it looks like Shattered Logoth, doesn't it?
Which could be Tarvalon because it's the same set.
Same.
Okay, so yeah, we get some more crying, and then Rand is making it rain for no reason. If we recall from the books, he makes it rain as a way to get the Aiel to stop fighting each other, but here the Aiel, like, half of them have already kind of fucked off, and it's just his supporters here. So I don't know why he's doing this from the books. But Ruark decides to basically say, yeah, Rand is the Karakarn. Look at all this rain. Isn't it great? Avienda's like, oh, this is so cool. And then, God, I'm speed running this. This was really a terrible episode. And yeah, I promise you, 140 slides, but we're going to do this super fast. I didn't have a whole lot of jokes. So anyways, we get the Moron voiceover. It's the intro to A Crown of Swords. It's actually a quite lovely little poem. We start to see the tower, and then we see the important scene, which is that Elida is finally fulfilling her plan, which is to redecorate the Amerlin study, righting an ancient wrong that she just couldn't abide. So that's
rid of the portal into the Nectarine Girl.
Yeah, we got to get rid of the sex hut Terangriel. So that's going. Maybe that'll come back later in a plot. We see Moghedien really quick. I don't know why. It's kind of dumb. Then we see the White Cloaks. They're in a big camp down in the plain. And you know they're all going to get slaughtered because these 3 are right here. So all the White Cloaks are as good as dead. Perrin's going to be totally rescued. Then we see shipping on a ship again. So Min is holding Mat by the arm. They are totally together and banging.
Well, yeah, didn't you hear him when she was trying to revive him? You were gonna kiss me, weren't you?
They're horny for each other. They're already doing it. I betcha. Anyways, back on the Sea Folk ship. It's done. And then Rand is still channeling, and the voiceover's going. And then the final part of it is, you know, hope that the soul of fire remembers love. And just as Moron says love, we have to see a shot of her again. And then they give her the last word in the whole series. She says, Rand, stop. And then Rand is like, nah, maybe I shouldn't. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. God, I sped run through that.
Fuck, dude, we've only been on for 38 minutes. Wow.
I know. This is like, it's the shortest stream. But a lot of my time today was probably updating this. So I had to basically redo the script, do all the attributions, ran it through Grok, got my my word counts. But oddly enough, Meth Cawthon, he kind of held on to the top spot. So he had the most words. That being said, a lot of his words were basically stuttering and repeating himself. Randall Simp, second most words, which was a surprise to me that they made the main character a main character for the first time. Elaine, I was shocked that Elaine actually didn't have a whole lot of words this episode, and it dropped her down into 3rd place. And then Swan, who's only in 4 episodes, is spoke the fourth most. You know, one of the reasons I sped run through this is because like the last 5 minutes of this whole episode is just Swan, spouting off in
I love
platitudes.
parade.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I am of the river and I am the water itself, and I'm just like,
I'm the water that turns the wheel. Remember that?
Oh God
damn.
Anyways, I stopped listening to her. I turned her out. So
Women
there's
talking, volume down.
But Swan still spoke enough to get above Pern, which is pretty bad. My Navy SEAL
That's
is
probably good.
then there. And then, Morons right after Pern, my Navy SEAL. What's actually kind of odd is that Egwene is like, I think, almost out of the top 10 as far as
I
words
know.
spoken.
I thought there would be way more Egwene this episode.
She barely said a thing this episode.
Absolutely. That was so shocking.
Yeah. And then, who else? Usual suspects. Tom got some more lines in this. Leanne got quite a bit. Useless Melindra plot, but anyways. All the rest. Guys, this was not good. I'm glad I got through. I have got no appetite for doing any more of these show reviews. I'm glad it's over and done with. I'm glad the show's dead.
Yes.
So we killed it. But we still have rewatches to do. So fuck. We can wait for Pips to come back, but then we'll get on that. But chat, no, I warned you. I kept the banner up the whole damn time. I told you not to watch this. So hopefully people will start tuning in about 5 minutes and we're already done. So how do we say? I play outro and we're gone. Have a good night, everybody. This sucked. See ya.
Walk in the light.
The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. In one age, called the Third Age by some, an age yet to come, an age long past, a wind rose in the mountains of mist. The wind was not the beginning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to the turning of the wheel of time. But it was a beginning.